At the Northwest public hearing on the amendment of the 1999 Constitution, held in Sokoto last Thursday, former governor of Kebbi State and present Senator Adamu Aliero raised issues on either throwing out the present Constitution or making copious and fundamental amendments to make it work. As much as he admitted that there are genuine reasons for devolution of powers, to relieve the federal government of a number of responsibilities and also reduce the revenue allocated to the central administration, Aliero wondered if amendment of the Constitution is at the heart of Nigeria's irritating democratic experience. But what are these annoying and irritating tendencies that make Nigeria's democracy a frustrating, quarrelsome, and sometimes violent relationship among federating groups and interests?
Failure of governance. The governance is not reaching the people. The people reside in the local councils, those demographic, those places, those remote places. That is where you have Nigerians. Nigerians are not just in Abuja and Lagos. They are all over the place. But where do you have governance? The present structure is hijacked. The mode of recruiting the governors and the sort of powers we allow them to actually, what would I call it now, utilize, is indeed the problem that we have. You recruit people with no background that you could rely on for your solutions. You just bring them in because they have money or they've stolen money or they have patronage, and you make them your governors. And they come in, what do they concentrate on? It's about what? Their pockets. They want to be richer than the past governor. They want to be richer than the other governors. They want to make as much money for 100 generations after them. That is their goal. That is where they put their energy. Their energy is not about making life better for the average Nigerian. What should be emphasized, and which I think should be our concern, is developing the political culture, the social culture that would actually be expansive and liberal enough to actually absorb all challenges as they come. If we don't have that culture, believe me, no constitution, no matter how well framed, can really solve our problems. The constitution would never really, by itself, give the people a political culture. Never. And the constitution itself does not generate political values or political morals.
There is a genuine call for reviewing and amending the constitution. There are some areas which needs to be touched or which needs to be amended. And I'm going to give you examples. For example, devolution of powers from the center to the federating units. Despite the flaws we just established from the federating units, like the state actors, the states in the country, despite their flaws, for not allowing other structures to function under them. We cannot, in my own opinion, throw away the baby and the bathwater. What do I mean by that? The fact that a state governor today has refused to allow a politically and constitutionally institution under him to function doesn't mean we cannot strive to amend the constitution to devolve more powers to those federating units. Since we are supposed to be operating a federal constitution, for me, the abolition of more powers, it's really important to me. The items under the exclusive legislative list, there are too many. There are about 68, and we need to trim them down.
The present agitations for amendment of the Constitution seem to hinge on unjustifiable favoritism that blinds the political leadership to needed competence in the affairs of the state and a sense of belonging that can drive a stable and progressive Nigeria. The second is a resource allocation, which many say is designed to create a disgraceful parasitism and footstool states in a nation whose federating nationalities all have the potential to create great and thriving economies.
Until we have a situation where we have leadership driving thought, driving social activity, driving the economy, we can never really have it. It wasn't the regions that created the Nigeria we are longing for. It was the individual personalities behind those regions. When you had a Zik, you have a Awolowo, you have a Tafawa, each and every one of those people, they are sterling in terms of character, in terms of knowledge, and in terms of focus on leadership. That was their life. Their life is about leadership and creating prosperity for the average Nigerian. But do we have those characters today? We don't. It is because we don't have them. That is why we are looking for something to blame. Why is it that we have the state? Is to bring governance home. They have the local government to take it to the grassroots. But what have they done? Do we have governance at that level that would secure our prosperity or promote our own freedoms? No. Of course, all of us, nobody would actually say we are not over-pampering the federal government. It is because of those resources, that is why you are having what? This sort of grievance. That is why people would want to hold on to it. But it is you have 51% of the resources of the state. What are you doing with it? When you don't have land, when you don't have a constituency, we are going to leave it to you at your own discretion. And what do you do with that discretion?
Even if power devolves to the federating units, if more revenue is allocated to the states, and these lower levels of governance take more charge of their resources, will these address the irritating and contentious refusal by states to grant financial autonomy to the legislature, the judiciary, and the local governments? Provisions which the present constitution has made and which all state governments brazenly disrespect as if there is no constitution at all. Will a new constitution force the governors, the federal high officials, and well-connected politicians to begin to obey court orders? Will a new constitution force governments to other competence above kindred interests in making appointments? These are some of the issues which make Nigeria's democratic practice an annoying experience for the informed citizen. These questions arise because also the present document, no matter its deficiencies, makes many provisions which Nigeria's political elite have contrived to ignore and run the nation's democracy by whim.
Other things in the Constitution, in my own opinion, that still needs to actually be reviewed or amended, despite some of the provisions, like you mentioned, are right now in the Constitution, but they are not being implemented. They are observed in breach by almost all levels of government. Like the points you made, the local governments are there constitutionally, but the state governors do not allow them to function as such. They control almost everything that has to do with the local government, and it's supposed to be an independent tier of government. You mentioned the judiciary, which they are for their financial autonomy and independence, mostly from the state governors. The federal has tried in that respect. They have given them that, but the state governors, some of them don't want to do that. Why? And it is still in the Constitution. You don't even need executive order 10 to actually do what is in the Constitution. So some of those things that led to the clamoring of and so many agitations that we're witnessing today, they were already taken care of in the Constitution. It's just a matter of obeying it and implementing it.
As the members of the National Assembly organize public hearings across the country, let them realize that in addition to receiving contributions from the Nigerian people, they themselves also have a duty to begin to reinvent democratic practice by insisting that infractions on the provisions of the existing constitution are sanctioned. Citizen activism will also be needed to teach political actors that impunity cannot become the standard practice in our democracy. That way, the agitation for constitution review and the resources being expended in the present process can be worth the effort and expectation of a better democratic regime for Nigeria and Nigerians.